A new era dawns to fill the void. An unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encountercast. Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncountercast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
What's up? Welcome to Final Encountercast. Thanks for joining us. Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. Sundays starting at 1 p.m. I want to thank you guys for being along. We want to hear from you. Of course, we always want to hear from you. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. You can also call in on Discord, discord.com/Limit Break Radio is how you do that. Hop in our LBR calls channel and just let us know that you want to, call in. We'll pull you into the Discord channel, the appropriate channel, and I outline all of this because I'm essentially outlining out loud Robbie's responsibilities to him because
I know how it works.
There is no Kooky today.
Oh, I'm aware.
Okay, all right.
So the only thing that I'm warning against is if they call into Skype on a phone, we don't really know what's going to happen. Like, that's the Wild West. We just pick that up, right?
Yeah. You pick it up and you put it on hold, and then we'll take it from there.
All right. Well, it looks like we already got one call. That person who said, I want to call, let me know what you want to call about so I can introduce you.
Yeah. So send a Skype message.
That's
Final
right.
Encountercast. 810-207-1764 if you don't want to introduce yourself and you want to
be a mystery guest.
That's right.
A mystery caller.
That's right. Because that's what we're doing here today. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of gaming news to talk about. A couple of things. Big beta weekend.
It sure is.
Three big betas running all at once, and I got to play all three of them.
That's actually really exciting. I'm sure that Nika's played probably at least one of them.
Nika, have you?
I have not, actually.
Oh my gosh. So, you have not checked out Metal Gear Survive yet, then?
Oh, fuck that one. I thought you were going to refer to Dissidia.
We'll talk about that, but of course we want to hear from you. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. Hit up the LBR calls channel. All right, well, we had started off just before we had started off the show with an interesting topic that we were all tossing around.
Thanks, Sonic.
Yeah, right. And I kind of wanted to talk about it before we get into the news here really quick, because if we don't, it's going to leave my brain, because it's already very quickly leaving my brain. But we were talking about the very first system that we ever got. The very first system that, that
we bought with our own money.
That either we bought with our own money or that our parents, went with us to go buy, things like that. So, and I was saying that, my PlayStation 1 era was my biggest game collecting era. Before that, it was mostly my parents that would buy it or would not buy it in some cases. But here's one of the interesting observations, though, is that video games were sort of like the line in the sand for a lot of our parents as to where they would spend money for us or on us, right? My parents wouldn't hesitate to, give me hey, Dad, can I have $10? I want to go get the latest Soundgarden CD. Yeah, all right, here's $10, right? Weird how that was never a big deal with them for music, but video games, I don't know. And I'm sure that a lot of that had to do with the price tag, the $40, $50 price tag sometimes.
Yeah, probably.
But it was, isn't it interesting that was sort of the line in the sand? It was specifically the media of video games where that was not necessarily true for music or movies. That would have been largely true for their generation and their parents, the way that they looked at music or movies.
Right, where
and
it's just content, perhaps.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's remarkably normal for most media to have happen to it at some point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're probably right. I think that my biggest collection was also probably the PlayStation 1. Despite it not being the first system that I purchased for myself, it was the first system that was just mine. Like prior to that, the Sega, the Nintendo, that was like the family thing, right?
Yeah,
but,
you had siblings you had to share
yes,
with, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
but when I got the PlayStation, I got it for Easter actually, and that was mine.
Yeah.
And kind of similar to what Nika mentioned before the show, she said that her parents would get her stuff like she had to wait for like Christmases or birthdays.
That was a lot of it for me too.
It would be the same for me, but when it came to Christmases or birthdays, like that's all I had on my list was video games. So I'd get like 7 or 8 new games all at once.
But it's sort of like you had to, you know what, like you had to choose well in those moments, because if it's like, if you got a shitty game for Christmas, you were stuck with that game for like the next year.
Well, my mom made sure to take me, and I would have to like point out which ones I wanted so that wouldn't happen. She was very specific about that.
My parents would decide based on what the cover looked like. Like sometimes they're like, "Oh, this kind of looks like Sailor Moon, so I bought it for you." And like
This
sometimes
looks like some weeb shit.
And like sometimes it would be an awesome game, and sometimes not as much. And that's why I had a lot of like some of the games I played the crap out of on the PS1 were like Tiny Toons and Casper, because those are the ones my parents bought for me. They ended up being like decently fun, but not like looking back on it, like those are probably not the games I would have chosen for myself.
No, probably not.
No, yeah. I mean, it is, yeah, I don't think I had to be ultra specific on and take them and literally point at the thing. I had to do that multiple times with like cereal that I wanted, but not for video games. They usually were able to figure that out, or they would just take me to go get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's weird. It's weird how there's that kind of passing of the torch for media, where it's like, yeah, you can go spend a couple of bucks on it, but also, as we get older, as we become parents, I think that we're going to look at giving money to our kids to go get video games a lot differently, right? Because we're going to be a lot more invested in it and a lot more critical, and we're going to be like, really? You really?
For Honor 4?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, go to your room right now.
Like, honestly, you know what I mean? Like, that's some of those
card?
like some of those parenting penny arcade comics. You know what I mean?
I feel like I'm going to be like, you know what? Well, I'm already buying games for myself, and they're expensive, so you're just going to play the games that I play, and you don't have a choice in that.
Wow.
Here you go, 7-year-old. Enjoy Bayonetta.
Wow.
Well,
Good.
It depends on the game, obviously.
Good job,
but
Nika.
Yeah.
Good job.
Nice parenting skills.
We
there.
we have a call all set up and ready to go if we want to take one before the news.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah. It's Yuki wants to call in about the they had some major typo issues here, but it's something about e-sportsmanship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk to him.
All
Hey,
right.
what's going on? Thanks for calling Final Encountercast. What's up?
Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well this wonderful Sunday morning.
Doing well, Yuki. How are you?
Just fine, thanks. But I'm going to go by James from Jersey here. And first off, I just want to shout out to Nika at MagFest.
Please don't.
Hey, what's
It was
up?
pretty exciting running into her and like friends of a friend and all that. And I hope
Yeah,
to see
small world.
more of you guys out in like the DC area. But I wanted to call about back in December. You may have heard there was a Zotac StarCraft match, and this one guy just completely obliterated his opponent and then kept mocking him by like playing with his foot, leaning back in his chair, and just being an ass, but playing it up for the crowd.
I
And
actually
they banned
didn't
him from
hear-
like the next competition because of it,
Oh.
even though he told the event people like, "Hey, I'm going to do this. Is it okay?" And he didn't get in the guy's face. He didn't touch his rig. He was just showing off how good he was. Like he killed his own whatever like really important thing was. I don't know anything about StarCraft. I just heard this.
Yeah, this
Like,
I
he
think
was
is
taunting the
definitely
guy and beat him all 3 times.
definitely probably would have got onto Callie's radar, but I also did not hear about it. But
Yeah,
I mean,
no. This
like-
is not one that I. How did this escape us? This is like
It's
this is like
StarCraft.
right up our alley. Yeah, you can you can sneak it. You can sneak it by in StarCraft.
Yeah,
That's how,
yeah. Well, this is actually going to be probably one of the things that we talk about earlier, or that we talk about later when we get into the XQC stuff, and that's sort of like the line between what is like good trash talking and like entertainment and stuff like that, and what crosses the line in in XQC's case becomes slurs or anti-Semitism or things like that.
No, it wasn't any of that. It was just good fashion ribbing. The guy was just so much better. I think it was Legend. No, Larva versus Legend. Legend just got decimated.
Well, yeah,
write that down. I do want to watch that.
Yeah, if there was no if it was all in good fun, then I don't know. I feel like that was probably very mishandled on the part of the tournament organizers if they banned him from the.
Especially if he asked permission first.
Yeah.
Because if they had said no, he probably wouldn't have done it, right?
Because that's not. I mean, that's sort of like the Harlem Globetrotters at that point. You know what I mean? And that's not and you know what? That's not the worst thing.
Well, you probably know what it was. Is the guy who lost was probably so embarrassed, and his fans were probably so upset about it that the tournament organizers then felt like they had to do something to sort of like sate people.
Get out.
Yeah.
Right. But people were saying like, oh, it was just a show match. It wasn't even like for competition. And I just wanted to get your guys a feel on, because to me it doesn't matter. Competition, just for fun, whatever. You're playing and you're that good, you have the right to like try to get in your opponent's head. That's in all kinds of sportsmanship.
Especially
if you're
if it's
that good and he lets himself fall for it, it's his fault.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
I think Larva did nothing wrong.
I absolutely agree with that. Now, again, having not seen the video firsthand.
It's hilarious. I forget if it's 10 or 30 minutes. Sorry, that's a big window, but it's worth a watch.
I'll have to take a look at it because I do want to see what you're talking about. But just from what you've described there, no, I don't think that he did anything wrong, and I do think that it was pretty kind of messed up for the league to take any kind of significant action against him like that. And especially with it just being a show match, like, I mean, that seems really ridiculous.
Yeah, banning someone from actual competition because of a show match, just don't invite him back for show matches anymore at that point.
Yeah, well, but I mean, you want to make show matches interesting. That's the entire point of a show match.
Yeah, and all of the English casters, there's like 4 of them, were just eating it up.
Yeah, I bet.
And telling everybody like, oh, this is such a crippling move. If he can still win after doing this, and then he did.
They're selling it like JR would. Yeah, no, that's and that's, you know what, dude, like that's the level of entertainment that I think esports is going to have to get to at some point. Agreed. Is it there yet? No, it's still a little bit primordial, but overreactions like that, I think, really hurt the possibility and the potential of people bringing more personality to esports. And I think that that's the one thing at this point that I'm kind of missing, because for as much as I can appreciate sitting down and watching Overwatch League, I don't really have a team that I'm actively rooting for.
Yep.
And so I don't really know rosters or care. People's skill isn't totally obvious to me. So it's like, without having that element of personality, it's hard for me to become invested.
Yes. Now I will say that personality is there, but at the moment you do have to go out of your way to find it. I watch a lot of the videos that the Outlaws put up on YouTube, right? So I have a good sense of like who they sort of are as people. But that the only time that even almost comes across in the actual show is if they're interviewing them, or you get these like little 3-second peeks when they're showing each of their cams at the beginning of a match, and that's not enough to get to know people as a brand, if you would.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
they interviewed Larva after the match, but he needed a Korean translator, and everything seemed kosher. They were like, "Oh man, I can't believe you did this," and why did you do it? And he's like, yeah, playing with my leg is like a thing I'm trying to make mine, he started playing with one hand on his mouse at one point. It's like,
wow,
he just completely taunted the guy.
Wow.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
I really do want to see more of that as esports continues to evolve. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. If you want to give us a call, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. We always appreciate hearing from you. And, of course, you can also call in on Discord, discord.com/Robbie Limit Break Radio. That is now the Let's Be Real Discord server, by the way.
Let's Be Real.
So you can find the appropriate Let's Be Real channel in there, and there's really kind of no rule for that channel. You can talk about whatever the hell you want.
So long as you're real.
Yeah.
And not fake.
Yeah. You posers.
That's right.
Stupid Hot Topic posers. I don't know.
No, I think that's probably about right. That's how I'm going to imagine all the fakers.
So anyway, we've got news that we haven't gotten into. There we go. That's saying it wrong.
Well, to be fair, we actually started kind of on time today, so it's not like we're behind or anything.
We were 10 minutes late instead of our normal 15 minutes late.
Oh, okay. I guess that wasn't that much.
Yeah. But real quick, I did want to mention coming up on the stream after Final Encountercast wraps up, we've got this week's Checkpoint Radio podcast at 4 p.m. Of course, the latest episode of Limit Break Radio, where we're going to be breaking down Live Letter XLI. Oh boy, that's going to be a fun one. Of course, we'll take your calls there as well. And then tonight at 6 p.m., the latest episode of Checkpoint Radio from start to finish. You can get the whole thing before it goes live on our website over at checkpointradio.com on Tuesdays. It is a good one. Also, by the way, checkpointradio.com now featuring some of our interviews. Like, we're starting to get our interview page built up. And
that new website is really slick, by the way.
Really is. I'm really impressed with it, and so it's been kind of my pet project over the last couple of days to try to get the interview page, built up. And with each interview, there's like a little bio that goes with it.
Yeah, I really liked it. It looked real smart.
So make sure that my time is not wasted, and that you go and check that out over at checkpointradio.com. All right, let's check out what's going on in the news.
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
All right, here we go.
So an image has been making the rounds online this week of the familiar Nintendo warranty label, complete with the helpline tips so many of us remember from our childhood. However, instead of a phone number to call, they've replaced it with a guide on how to Google for your video game-related problems.
That sounds fair.
Right?
That sounds fair.
I saw that. I'm like, I can't say that I really blame them.
Is that the same helpline that's listed on the inside of like every device that Nintendo's ever made?
I think that's what it is. I think that they replaced the original helpline now with just, hey,
Remember when we pulled the NES out of the bag and you were like, we should call that number? We would have gotten instructions on how to Google shit.
How to Google.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, although, I have to say that I'm not surprised, but I also, I kind of get it. My sister's been sending PayPal payments, like she's been selling stuff, right? And she's like, I don't have a PayPal. Can I just have them send it to you?
Yeah.
I thought that was like a 1 or 2 time thing. It's been like 4 or 5 times. She was like, can you also send him an invoice too? And I'm like, no. You need to do this yourself. Like, I sent her a link that was literally just, this is how you make an invoice. And she couldn't do it. I'm like, you literally just have to Google. That's what I said.
Charge her.
I'm like, from here on out, it's 10%.
There you go.
She went and made her own.
God damn it.
Yeah, right. As soon as I start to try and make money off of it. Speaking of Nintendo...
God forbid you try to help yourself.
Right? Just a little bit.
If she ever like yells at you for being broke or poor, just remind her of that. Like, any opportunity that I took to try to get myself out of the hole, you just stole right from under me.
That's right. So Nintendo announced last week Project Labo, you're not wrong, which is effectively cardboard used to create do-it-yourself accessories for the Switch. They made pretty clear in the advertising that it was for kids, something to get them more involved creatively in using the Switch. Labo launches on April 20th in 2 different kits, one including stuff for the RC car, fishing pole, and piano for $69.99, and one for a robot suit for $79.99.
This is the dumbest thing.
You watched it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
This is the dumbest shit. Why?
Oh, I mean, it's for kids, and most kids stuff is dumb anyway, right?
Yeah, except $70?
Okay, the price is... Yeah, you're right. The price is
$70. $70.
Yes, okay. Price aside, let's talk about concept. right? What do you think of the concept?
$70.
You can't get past the price, can you?
$70.
Okay, Nika, do you have anything to add besides $70? And to be fair, the second one's $80.
Just realized I was muted. I didn't watch the video, so what kind of accessories are you supposed to be able to make?
All right, so again, the ones that are being released is an RC car, a fishing pole, a piano, and a robot suit. And essentially what this is it's sheets of cardboard that you pop out or cut out, and then you like make them into like the piano. And there's a place to set the switch and to put the Joy-Cons, and then when you press the keys, it's like a piano.
$70.
Okay, that's not nearly as cool as I was thinking it would be. Yeah, no.
What did you think that it
I don't
was?
know. I mean, I don't know. I was hoping you could put like, I don't know. I actually don't know what I was thinking, but I figured that it would be something that you could like manipulate into something more creative than what they give you, so that adults would probably buy it and be like, oh, I could actually make some really cool like Kingdom Hearts thing to attach to mine.
$70.
Definitely. Specifically for kids, because in fact there were people like Nate here, adults, that are complaining that Nintendo is wasting their time on kiddie stuff like this, because why would we as adults want this? And they're like, because it's for kids.
$70.
Yeah, but no, what
dollars
for a kid that much? Like we were just talking about how it was hard for our parents to get to buy a $40 or $50 game. Who's going to buy a $70 thing to just attach on that does?
Well, it's something you have to actually make it. Like it's not just you take a piano out of a box. Like there's like that's part of I think the creative process of it, the crafty process of it.
$70.
Okay, moving on. Nintendo of Europe conducted a survey this week asking gamers which 2018 release they were most looking forward to. And interestingly, right down at the bottom was a simply titled Pokemon RPG. This has further fueled speculation that we might see the Switch's first Pokemon title in the holiday season of this year.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. We got Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon just came out.
I know. Usually there's at least a year, I think, between the sort of secondary release and whatever the next new one is.
Right.
But I mean, think about it. Think about it like this, okay? So the A-Team created Sun and Moon, and that was now... When this is rumored to have came out, Sun and Moon would have released 2 years prior to that, right?
Right.
That was the A-Team.
And Stars was a thing. They just scrapped it.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a thing. It was just going to be a straight port for... Sun and Moon to the Switch, and then they decided to scrap it and do something original.
Okay, because this is what my thinking was. Since the A-Team technically hasn't been working on anything since Sun and Moon, since it was the B-Team that did Ultra Sun and Moon, they could have already been working on this for,
it's possible.
By this time, 2 years at that point.
Well, assets for, I think, all 800 or so Pokemon were there.
That's right. Because they were just going to upscale everything. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, it's entirely possible. That's a very, very weird release schedule, and I mean, they must. If that's the case, they're really trying to capitalize on the momentum that they have.
If it is going to really, usually it's around like November-ish, maybe early December when we see these holiday releases.
Yeah.
When do you think we might start hearing or seeing like actual either images or footage or stuff?
It's got to be the next Treehouse, man.
Didn't we just had like a mini Treehouse?
We just had one. Yeah, it's got to be the next Treehouse.
All right. Well, fingers crossed then.
E3 maybe?
That June, July?
I mean, it'd be really quick to release, but I mean, I feel like we'd have to get a title confirmation and then more like an info dump at E3.
It would be a big info dump, too.
Well, remember the Sun and Moon info dump that we had gotten, what was that, 2 or 3 years ago?
That's fair. That was pretty big, too.
Yeah, it was a huge one.
Because
there was... We were waiting on another announcement from Nintendo, and they did the big Pokemon Sun and Moon info dump, and we were like, God damn it, these Pokemon are stupid.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they are. I mean, honestly.
A vast majority of them
Most of the Alola ones, yeah.
Very, very dumb. Yeah. Game Central got to do an interview with Square Enix CEO Yusuke Masuda discussing a number of issues ranging from loot boxes to games as a service. He was critical of the practice of lumping loot boxes into a game for the purposes of making money and said he encourages his developers to be leaders and not followers in regards to making what's currently popular. Who was able to read this interview?
I didn't read it, but that's an interesting summary right there.
It's kind of a little. I was able to make it through half of it, wasn't able to go back. The part that I would first like to because the way that this is written, and I think that maybe our own Callie, who of course does our news stories, might be flying a little bit on the Square Enix side for this, because this makes it seem like he's saying loot boxes are bad. Don't do what the rest of the industry is doing. Be your own leader, right?
Right.
All right. So what I read of the interview, what that is referring to is there was a time when Western games kind of started to overshadow the Eastern RPGs. You know, people, I think, in fact, we might even still be in that sort of phase. Where
yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Like Nika are like, turn-based is dead, anime is dead, or whatever. And basically what he's saying is that for a while they were trying to mimic what the Western companies were doing.
Really?
And it wasn't really working out too well for them.
Oh, yeah. I think 15 is a pretty good example.
So when he says that he encourages his developers to be leaders and not follow in regards to what's making currently popular, what he means is he started to encourage his developers to make what they want to make and what they're good at making, which is probably a return at least to traditional Japanese anime tropey sort of stuff. I don't know if we'll get lucky enough to see turn-based come back.
Let me just say, all right, because I know we might talk about the betas a little bit later, but this seems like an appropriate place to talk about.
All right.
Character design in Dissidia NT. Because, you know, just like in every other Dissidia game, there's like a goddess and there's like an evil thing, and they're amassing forces to pit them against each other.
The usual.
Action figure, smash, 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 blah, 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 whatever. But the thing is that the character design for, I don't know who the fucking goddess is, because I can't play that game for more than 5 minutes without wanting to cross my eyes. What the fuck is she wearing? Like, what the fuck is she actually... She had, like steampunk gears on as the heels of her shoes. And, like... It was just like it looked like a cross between something that you'd see out of Steven Universe and, you know, the most like dumb Final Fantasy of Japanese.
It does look really weird.
Stupid, right? Like, it looks dumb. It looks actively dumb, and it's the first thing that you see in the opening cinematic. And it made me go, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to myself? Square Enix does not make the games that I want to play anymore. I mean,
who does that say more about, though? Because that's a really... I mean, look, on its face, that's a real selfish thing to say.
I don't know, dude. She looks like she would have been eliminated in, like, the 3rd week of RuPaul's Drag Race. It's embarrassing.
Or Doric's saying that that's high fashion. Nate.
It's embarrassing.
I mean, if you watch a high fashion show, they do wear really ridiculous things like that.
I know they do. What the fuck?
Maybe it was
is it doing in a Final Fantasy game?
I don't have an answer for you.
I mean, her name, and Cecil's got a point. Her name is Materia, so maybe it has something to do with the fact that she's Materia.
Stop it.
I don't know.
Don't do that to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. That's a bad idea.
Her name is Materia.
Yes, it is.
That's not a name.
Because Square Enix has no original ideas, and they're a snake that's eating its own tail.
Since FF10, when they lost most of the original Final Fantasy team, I feel like, that's all they're doing now. Like, some new, like, up-and-comer will bring them an idea, and they're like, oh, I don't know, that doesn't sound like us. Instead, go back to, like, 7, 8, 9, or 6 or something, and just borrow something from that. Nobody will know. We know.
I mean, my first instinct when looking at it was like, this is something I could see in FF12. In terms of like steampunky and like the fact that like Fran and Ash are wearing the most ridiculously dumb outfits, that I feel like this would fit right in with FF12. Oh.
Maybe. I don't know. I just feel like it embodies everything about Square Enix character design that makes me want to kill myself. Like, it's
Make it more complex.
It's bad. It's actively bad, and I don't know why I even hope going into a Square Enix game anymore. I should just assume that this looks. Listen, this is just going to look like something that fell on the floor of a high fashion design that just never should have been. Never should have seen the light of day.
Never should have been. That's
embarrassing.
That's
it's actively fucking embarrassing.
Well, what about? Well, I guess we can talk about the gameplay stuff later. But all right, interesting. So skip that one then, huh?
I mean, I'm not saying
one character design's going to say skip the whole game.
No, but I'm just saying it's if we're talking about Square Enix as a company, then
because if you've seen what Shiva looks like in this game, oh, she is so fucking gorgeous. I love her so much.
All right. Well, after a short delay, Age of Empires Definitive Edition has a release date set. The new version of the RTS includes completely redone assets, a new orchestral score, a re-recorded soundtrack, voice narration in the campaigns, and modern multiplayer support. The game releases for $20 on February 20th for PC. Does anybody actually really care?
Not really. No, I mean, I hate to be that guy, but not really.
No, it's fine. Like, look, coming out with remastered StarCraft 1 when they did, okay. StarCraft has at least a little bit of a legacy, but like Age of Empires?
Yeah.
Just play Civilization, right?
Yeah,
I played Age of Empires once because they're like, oh yeah, this is like so nostalgic and it's RTS and it'll be fun. I played it once with some friends, like, okay, it was fun, and never touched it again.
I don't even remember it being really all that great when I, used to play it back in the day.
I was like, it's StarCraft with countries. Cool. I don't know.
Yeah,
pretty much sums it up. Yeah.
I mean, that's what all
I got
RTS
nothing.
games are. Like, oh, it's like StarCraft.
I got nothing. I actually am not an RTS player at all. Like, even the good ones, like Warcraft or StarCraft, like I just
even the good ones.
Even the good ones. I never was able to develop an appreciation for it. So.
Yeah, no, that's
StarCraft
fair.
is nostalgic for me because I played it when I was so young, and I'd sit there and play it forever with my friends and my sister. So,
but even even when it was a new game, right? Like, because I had friends that tried to get me to play it, I was like, but where? What, and I'm not doing any of the fighting. And he's like, my friend Mike, who was showing me at the time, he goes, yeah, no, you're the one giving the orders. And I was like, that's not fun. What the fuck? What the fuck kind of game is this? He's like well, no, you're
you can build a stable.
He's like you're conducting a theater of war. And I'm like, fuck that. I want to be the fucking warrior. I want to be that guy. Like, that guy right there, he's doing some fun shit. What are we doing back here, up here, controlling with the little hand? Fuck this shit. This is stupid. I'm going to go back to playing GoldenEye.
That's actually really great. As promised at BlizzCon, this week's World of Warcraft patch has finally introduced scaling leveling into the game. Mimicking what they've done with the Legion expansion, players now have much more options about where to level, as the zones will scale with them within certain boundaries. This actually came a lot sooner than what I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
For some reason, just I naturally thought that, it'll come out with the expansion, but it makes a lot more sense to have it come out probably prior to the expansion. Gives people time to level up, keeps people engaged in the game for now and stuff like that.
I mean, obviously, I'm not a World of Warcraft player. Nika's not going to be any help on this either. What do you think on this?
I think it's probably, it's something that needed to have been done. I think going forward that the idea of specific zones having specific level ranges is getting to a point, I think, in MMOs where it's kind of archaic. We all know that right now MMOs don't have the best health overall as a genre, and I think even World of Warcraft overall, compared to the type of subs that it used to have, is probably still seeing a kind of hit.
Anemic, yeah.
Exactly, and this allows more freedom for your players to go where they want to go. This might give some of your zones that haven't been seeing a lot of play, it gives people more of a chance to go there.
So is it do you just sync to the zone level, or
yes?
Oh, okay.
Now I don't know that you sync upwards, but like, for example,
right.
There's like 6 or 7 different starting zones depending on what your race is, right?
Okay,
so if you do one of them, chances are you're not going to go see the other one unless you want to do like the Lore Master achievement or start a brand new character.
Yeah. Okay.
So what this also does is if you have a certain appreciation for certain zones that maybe you know a little bit better, so you can level through them quicker. Now you can do those instead of having to worry about going through some of the like the higher tiered, shitty designed ones.
Gotcha. So it's just more about being able to play where you want to play,
where you want, when you want. Yeah.
I mean, okay, I guess
it's just the leveling process, regardless. Which I mean, you know, in World of Warcraft, you have 100.
I'm just shocked.
130 levels now.
I'm just shocked to see an MMO get overworld development. I don't remember what that's like as an FF14 player. You know, like if we don't, the only content that we ever get is a new instance. That's it. Nothing ever happens to the overworld ever, unless it's an expansion. Yeah. So the fact that the overworld is getting any development is kind of amazing. But how long before, you know, Final Fantasy XIV just does a shitty copy and paste of this? I mean, it is a little bit sort of like when you go into a Fate, you can level sync, right?
Yeah,
like,
so they have the technology.
Right? But yeah, how long before they kind of reverse engineer it to do the same thing where the zone syncs to you?
But they'll do it in some terrible way that
doesn't
make
exactly.
any sense.
That no one will
super
want.
Convoluted and complex.
Right. Like
and
someone
you can't summon your chocobo with it.
Right. Like I'm sure that they'll make it and there'll be a bug like the zone will sync to you, but that zone will sync to everyone else as well. So like 4 people come in and they just sync and everything's
You have to form
up.
a sync party.
Oh, God. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So YouTube is going to be increasing the requirements for partnerships and monetization on the site. They will be stripping now unqualified channels of their partnership status. To qualify, a channel must now have at least 1,000 subscribers and a total of 4,000 hours of watch time over the past 12 months. Existing partner channels will have until February 20th to meet the new requirements.
Bum, bum, bum. This is a big, oh man.
When I first read this, like,
YouTubers are shitting their pants.
Tell me about it. Like, all right, when I first heard they were changing the requirements and stuff like that, all right, cool. But like once it set in that like some people are straight up going to be losing their status,
yeah,
that was big. Yeah, I think I'd be shitting my pants if we made our money through YouTube as well.
But this is, dude, is this not exactly what I have been saying all along?
Oh, yeah.
Don't be beholden to a platform for your income, because the platform gets to change the rules whenever they want.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you know, I said that long before people figured that out about YouTube, that they would, you know, very quietly change the algorithm, and then, they would change the ad revenue platform and structure when it suited them. And now, you know,
they're shouting from the peaks, y'all ain't gonna be partners no more.
Yeah. Look at how drastically they can change the rules. And the thing is that, you know,
have a month. That's it, just a month.
Any platform that you run your content through has the ability to do that. That's why, you know, people. These are the comments that when I talk to like YouTubers or podcasters that make me want to fucking throttle them, just in casual conversation, when they go, oh yeah, well, I don't really run my own archive, I just, whatever, you know, when I put it online, and then I delete it off my hard drive. Or
whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
They don't even back it up?
It'll always be there. I mean, you know, my work will always be
yeah, I mean, I've heard people use YouTube as the backup.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, now to be fair, all of our video content is like that, because we run all of our video content through Twitch and YouTube. And if Twitch and YouTube decided we don't want these Limit Break Radio motherfuckers on our platform anymore, all of that material would be gone. Except that's not the material, though, that is important to us. The material that's important to us, the material that we consider our work, is the edits and the shows, the final product, what actually hits our website. So if we lost all of that video content, it doesn't fucking matter.
We still have our website.
It doesn't. No. It doesn't matter. We don't make a dime off of any of it.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't matter. None of that matters. I mean, would it suck for the people who like watching us on YouTube? Yeah, probably. But it doesn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't destroy our business, right? What matters is what we put out through our website and what we keep multiple backups of is the material that is put out to our website. And we don't let our website or our server act as the backup. We don't let anything act as the backup. Our backup is our backup. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you need to approach your content. And anyone that you let do the work of the monetization portion for you, you have to...
You're at their mercy.
You have to accept that you are not in control of that ever. And you may be able to benefit from that, but don't think that because you made $35,000 this year that you're going to be able to make $50,000 last year.
Not the way that YouTube changes it, no.
You know what I mean? Yeah, because YouTube can come in and flip a switch and on a dime change all of your shit. And now, you know, if you want to keep up, you've got to make ASMR videos or fucking sexy cosplay, Disney cosplay, whatever.
Clickbait crap.
There's all sorts of shit that, gets bajillions of hits. And, you know, like, unless that's what you really... Like, if you want to play that game, you can play that game. But if you are using the platform to take something and put your vision out there, or put your creation out there, man, don't rely on that platform. Don't ever rely on that platform.
Yeah, I think one of the things that surprised me the most when I saw this is YouTube has put its creators through so much crap this past year that I don't think that I saw another punch coming this quickly. And now I'm kind of excited to see what they do next. Like, I mean, at this point, they're just a dead horse, and they're just beating them like they're already dead.
Yeah.
YouTube, leave them alone.
Well, but I mean, there is this... I do kind of understand what YouTube is doing.
Oh, yeah, no, I get it.
Because, you know, when you have advertisers walking away from the platform, when you continually have people that are raising concerns or taking their money and taking it elsewhere, then, yeah, you need to do something to try to address that.
And this on YouTube's side will probably help to get that done. So
and from their point of view, it'll probably get a few people off the platform that they need to get off. And you know, as long as these guys, you know, play the rules in a way that, you know, YouTube can't actively bust them on, then yeah, they've got to kind of tighten that noose a little bit. But you know, I do feel bad for the people that have been using the platform as, you know, a good platform for their material for a long time. But this is you know,
the would-be limit break radios of the world.
But this is again, you know, people are like, why do you want to do a radio show? Well, because this is why. Because
YouTube can't kill us.
And the thing is that, you know, for every radio station that we're on, we've got a contract with that radio station. There's durations that they've got to fill. There's expectations. That's easier for me to wrap my head around than signing on the dotted line with YouTube and then YouTube being able to fucking change the rules whenever they want.
At a moment's notice.
The way that the terms of service are written, they can do whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want. And at least this way, I get a seat at the bargaining table. My content doesn't get cut off at the legs 99% of the time. There's every once in a while Kevin can be a dick about it. But you know what? Like, the amount of freedom that we get with Checkpoint Radio, like, no,
quite a bit.
No one tells us what to talk about. Like, we get suggestions, we get helpful suggestions. Nobody tells us what the fuck to talk about. You know, music. Nobody tells us what music we can or can't use. It's radio. All of the stations have music licenses so that we could use Donna Summer if we fucking wanted to. We don't. We use music from like chiptunes and remixes and people from our community that we want to try to give, you know, at least, you know, maybe not a direct platform, but a small, you know, hey, that's my music. That's awesome. Where else are you going to hear that on the radio? Where the fuck else are you going to be able to hear Grindcraft or DJ Cutman?
You know, we were just talking, you know, at the beginning of the show, we mentioned the Sonic music that spawned that whole thing. You know, someone just flipping through the stations only has to hear a split second of a Sonic or Mario song, and they're going to be like, whoa, what was that?
Right.
And stop to listen to the show.
Dude, I found two like 16-bit chiptune songs that are just like guys noodling on keyboards, probably in their basement, right? And they're fucking awesome, and I use them for music beds. But it's stuff like that catches your ear. You're like, dude, that sounds like it could have been on like Cruisin' USA, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like it references something that you've heard somewhere. But it's, you know, if we were getting orders on what to play for music, it would be like, make it more like this, or, you know, make it more rock and roll, make it more sportsy. We were getting some kind of notes like that early on. And,
really?
Well, when we didn't have
music,
when we didn't have a lot of affiliates before Westwood One, and we were trying to like approach people on our own, and we really needed to try to appeal to the sports angle. Now that we've got Westwood One, that's not as big of a deal, because we can, you know,
we got Westwood One.
Yeah, exactly. They help, you know, bring affiliates on board. Right. So yeah, we you know, a lot of that, when we did the re-imaging of the show, we got you know, we got to open up the possibilities for the music. So, you know, yeah, I've used a Bubsy remix on the show once. You know what I mean? Like
appropriately.
No one fucking tells me what to, you know, how that show is programmed. It's all on us.
Callie might, but we don't listen to him.
And it's awesome, though.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that, you know, if we wanted to do that and that was suddenly no longer viable on the medium that we had selected, you know, we would have to go and retool and do something else and make Nika dress up as Elsa and talk very softly into a microphone. I don't know.
God, no, please.
I don't want to do that either. That sounds boring.
Yeah.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so this next story is probably my favorite of the day. YouPorn has claimed that Overwatch League is hurting its viewership. Now, to be fair, their charts do seem to indicate this might be the case, as the site saw a 9% drop in traffic around the time Game 1 of Overwatch League got underway.
That's fucking awesome.
After all, Overwatch characters were the most popular search on the website in 2017.
Wow.
I remember
when it first came out. Yeah, we talked about how Blizzard had to go around taking, like...
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was going to say. I thought Blizzard kiboshed a lot of it.
Well, they tried to. I
don't think you can stop it once it's been...
No, you can't.
Once you unleash that beast.
In fact, I remember a headline a few weeks back leading up to the Overwatch League that the Overwatch porn had actually started to see a respike in popularity on the YouPorn searches. So...
yeah. Can I just say, the thumbnail for this story is quite possibly the best thing about it, because it's May looking slightly confused and disgusted at a computer screen.
Someone took their time finding that one.
And I mean, it is literally frame perfect for what this story is. It is literally... I saw that, and I must have laughed for a good 20 minutes about it, because it is...
She looks so disgusted.
She does. It's like
she's probably looking at a thumbnail of herself, too.
Yes.
And she's like, with Reinhardt?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's awesome. It is one of the best. I love that fucking thumbnail. That's like one of the best thumbnails for any story I've ever seen.
So in an effort to have the country prepared for a possible esports inclusion in the Olympics, the Prime Minister's party has pushed to help an effort in allowing licenses for esports tournaments in Japan. The first tournament to use these licenses, and thereby work around Japan's archaic law barring gambling events, will be held on February 9th. Ooh, that's just around the corner. While esports won't be a medal event in Tokyo's 2020 Games, the city government and the Japan Olympic Committee have already signed off on allowing major tournaments to be run in the lead up to the event. This is actually happening a lot quicker than I think I anticipated. If they're already going to have a big tournament on February 9th?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean...
Sorry, I'm used to laws taking years to be made and put into effect. So this really caught me by surprise.
Well, I think that this is less a law and more like regulation, right?
That's probably fair.
Because I think in this case it's more issuing the licenses that's going to take the time. And yeah, you know, we're kind of used to like, oh man, that's going to take a year or so. But when you're losing out on money at the rate that Japan is losing out on the esports scene, that tends to change things because and there's a couple of aspects to esports. You've first got, of course, the obvious competitive aspect. You've got the internationally regional competition aspect as well, where if you're not a part of that conversation, then, obviously, there's going to be other talent that's going to come in and supplant that. But how can you be one of the creators, the second largest creator of video games, maybe the largest creator of video games on the fucking planet, and not have a seat at the table in the competitive scene? That's frankly,
when it comes to esports.
Yeah, right. Like, that's frankly embarrassing for your country. So I think that, there are probably some very wealthy sources that are trying to fast track this, that are trying to push it through the government, and I'm sure that when you lay it out financially, because we've looked at all of the numbers,
we've been seen the numbers,
we've been reporting on the numbers that when you lay it out like that it seems obvious why you should fast track it.
Yeah, well, I'll be looking forward to watching that tournament. Anything else that comes out of Japan. In fact, I think if this goes well, I hope that Japan is one of the. Well, I guess if they're using contenders, then maybe not. But I wonder how quickly Japan would be able to get an Overwatch team.
That's a good question. Although I do think that a lot of this also has to do with the Olympics too.
Yes.
So, I think those are probably the two big factors at play. Because the Olympics is coming up, man. That's starting to sneak up on us.
Yeah. Well, a Canadian man is now facing criminal charges for spamming Twitch after flooding over 1,000 Twitch channels with over 150,000 spam messages, including slurs and anti-Semitism. The British Columbian Supreme Court issued a criminal charge for mischief related to computer data. If convicted, he could face up to 10 years in prison.
What a dick.
Like, what?
What a dick.
How much time do you have on your hands?
All right. Well, first of all, Nika, obviously, in order to do something like that, he's using some type of program or tech.
Clearly,
yeah.
But, why
he's not copy and pasting all of that, right? But I think the thing about this, and I get it, right? Because this is sort of you're using technology to do something malicious, right? Even if it people are thinking, well, it's just Twitch, just spam messages. Who cares? I think the part about it that really gets me is that this guy could face as much time in prison as Tyler Barris if he's convicted of the swatting charges.
Right, yeah. So Tyler Barris, the official charges in that case coming up as involuntary manslaughter. And I think the possible conviction that he would be looking at is 11 years. And that this guy, for what, the thousands of messages that he was putting into chat rooms, and, that's scummy and shitty on its own, but is that worth 10 years in prison?
I would have thought like a huge fine maybe, and I actually kind of wonder if maybe the amount of spam contributed to it, right? Like at
the
certain,
quantity.
Yeah, the quantity. At certain thresholds, it adds on more and more time.
Probably. I think that Norris had made this point on Checkpoint this week, that it wasn't necessarily the content, that it was the quantity that was being pushed out.
Yeah, well, because that's
and I get that. It is, and I understand that. But at the same time, though, I still don't think that, there seems like there's something massively wrong here. You know what I mean? Excuse me. I don't agree with anything that he said, with any of the hate-filled anti-Semitism that he would put into those chat rooms. But it is kind of terrifying to think, like, you write a program to be mischievous, and that could land you behind bars for 10 years, whereas you call in a hostage situation that gets somebody killed and serve basically the same amount of time. And I'm not saying that this guy shouldn't go to jail for 10 years. What I'm saying is that Tyler Barris should be going to jail for much longer.
A lot longer.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
Much longer. So, I don't think that there seems something really, really fucking wrong here.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're not alone on that. Genital jousting.
Yay!
Devolver Digital's latest insane creation has officially left early access and has released. The game now has single-player mode, and to mark the occasion, they decided to hold a tournament for the game. The first ever genital jousting esports World Championship was held on their Steam page this week, and rest assured it was held with all of the class and dignity of any other Devolver Digital presentation.
Did they like call it like an esports?
It was complete with dildo controllers.
Yes.
Advertised guests who never made an appearance, and less than professional attire.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to go back and watch this.
I think I'm probably going to have to as well. I actually didn't realize that it was coming out so quickly. You had mentioned it earlier in the week that this was happening.
Yeah.
But wow, that happened pretty quickly.
Isn't it? I just like I just liked the term esports. I didn't even click the link. I just saw esports and was like, we got to talk about that.
Hold on. I'm gonna tempt fate. I'm gonna click on the link here.
Oh no.
This came from doyouevengamebro.net.
Oh, that's a solid source.
Solid news source, yeah.
That's right.
Also, apparently genital jousting has a story mode.
Is that right?
Yeah. There's lots of penis jokes there. Oh, man.
I just remember the uncomfortable, jiggling noises that the first trailer made. What are you going to pull up a piece of audio or something here?
Can I? Will it play through already?
I think it will.
All right. Here we go. This is the full release in story mode.
Okay.
John has an ordinary life. Getting up in the morning, getting clean, getting dressed, staying.
The noises are bothering me. By the way, turn down those speakers over there.
Always making it. Trying to get his work done.
You're like a sentient penis.
Yeah, do you not remember this at all?
I never watched this.
But the thing,
like at the beginning, he was brushing his teeth, but he was like brushing his penis's butthole.
Paper cuts. Oh, that must sting. It isn't staying motivated in a job that will grind you down and disrespect you.
I wish we could show the video on stream, but I don't want to chance it.
No.
Isn't the housekeeping? No. What's difficult about being John is finding love. Oh, how desperately he wants to find love.
I don't.
Sweaty love.
Sweaty love.
Without the image, it just sounds like talking about some dude.
It's terrible, and
it's a gigantic sentient penis.
Wow.
Like in a world of other sentient penises, it's not like there's just one.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's not like Octodad where you have to try to pass off as a
The worst
person.
thing about that is the way that the sentient penises hold objects is in what is essentially their butthole. Like there was a scene where he pooped his cell phone out of his penis butt.
Cool.
Well, I mean,
that's a fun
thing, right?
sentence right there. He pooped his cell phone out of his penis butt.
Like right between the two balls, there's a little.
I know.
There's a little. Well, for people who don't know, there's like a little puckered hole.
Oh, okay. And that's like.
That's the penis butt.
Yeah, that's okay. That's the dick butt, if you will.
I mean,
Yes.
dick butt's always been a thing.
That's the anatomical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let this sink in.
On to.
You doing okay there?
Better. This actually isn't much better. With about a month to go before Metal Gear Survive releases, Konami confirmed this week that the game will have microtransactions in it, and in addition will require a persistent internet connection to play. They say the requirement is due to the game being designed around a seamless integration between single player and co-op.
Yeah. I can see
I mean,
that.
games that do that require that, but like microtransactions, how?
It's a good question. That's a good question, because I feel like since the whole EA debacle, we haven't heard a whole lot about people putting like pay to win transactions in their games unless it's specifically supposed to be a pay-to-win game.
Right.
So I think this is the first time that anyone's kind of came on to like, yeah, so this game we're coming out with is going to have microtransactions. Now, I suppose we could use this to...
Yeah, this is a good transition.
Segue into,
Here's the thing is that, so I did check out the Metal Gear Survive beta over the weekend. I did. I actually plugged probably the most time into that than I plugged more time into that definitely than Dissidia, and I only played through like one mission on
That's all right. Yeah,
Monster Hunter Worlds.
Played through one and you basically have it.
Exactly. I mean, it's Monster Hunter. I've pretty obvious, right?
You hunt monsters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it. So I actually I plugged quite a few hours into the Metal Gear Survive beta. And I do understand what they mean between like a seamless transition between single player and multiplayer.
That's what I'm most interested in.
Because what is obvious from the beta, at least to me, is that the multiplayer aspect, is sort of like the mother base aspect of Metal Gear Solid 5.
Okay.
Right? So there's a lot of collecting, there's a lot of salvaging, there's a lot of, and the game mode that they give you is defend a point. It's like a I don't even know, it's like an energy drill that you're defending against, right? You're collecting energy, wormhole energy. I don't know why. Doesn't
probably
explain.
to get back to the other dimension where Snake exists.
Well, but the thing is, though, is that we've seen a couple of these opening cinematics from Metal Gear Survive, and one of the things that we see is that some of it does take place in the other universe, where after Mother Base is destroyed, they're cleaning up kind of the evidence. And it looks like there might be a character that might end up being Donald Anderson in those cutscenes, who is the DARPA chief in the first Metal Gear Solid game. And, it's totally unconfirmed, but we do know that there is some kind of, play that's going on between the wormhole space world and what is sort of the normal world, but no one really knows what that connection is. And what's interesting, though, is that if you kind of look at the way that technology has evolved in the last couple of Metal Gear games, there has been weird wormhole shit. Like instead of having the Fulton balloons, you had the wormhole recovery devices. And it seemed like that was technology that did exist somewhere in the Metal Gear universe.
Man, don't tell me that this is actually going to be like cool canon story, because I'm
not going that far. Not going that far. I'm saying maybe Konami is not as dumb as they think, or it's not as dumb as we think they are.
Because prior to this, it kind of looked like it was just some weird bullshit spin-off type deal. But you're saying that what we've seen there, it might actually be based in evidence from other games.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So the way, because what's really interesting is that the multiplayer selection screen and all of the shit that goes on in there happens in a VR type environment. VR has been a big reoccurring theme in Metal Gear Solid. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. If I'm going to be as cynical as possible about it, it is literally just a rejiggering of assets from Metal Gear Solid 5, figure out how to put a little bit of corrupted bullshit on some of the textures.
And charge people for microtrans.
I mean, yeah.
Were you able to get a sense of what the microtransactions are?
It's probably gonna. It's either probably gonna be. It's just like Metal Gear Solid 5. You can collect everything. There's resource management. There's base building. There's all sorts of shit. So, I mean, it could be a gun design, a gun blueprint, all the way to different attachments to you name it.
Okay,
I mean,
something that I've noticed in at least the Ubisoft games that I've played recently, and actually I forget who it was that did the recent Shadow of War game, but they also sort of do it this way, is they're kind of finding an in-between with what people will accept with loot boxes and what they won't accept, right? Like with For Honor or with Battlefront 2, you literally bought your way to being better. People are like, no, that's no good. But with Assassin's Creed Origins and with Shadow of War, you could buy XP, you could buy gold, like you could buy basically anything that you needed, but there wasn't a real need to. Like, it wasn't really giving you a leg up on anything because none of that stuff was really extremely relevant anyhow. So it's like, look, if you want to give us money to feel like you're getting stuff, go for it, but you could get it at the same rate by just playing the game.
Yeah. And I think that there's probably going to be an element of that here as well. I think if, and I don't want to say for sure, but, I would say that there's a lot of abilities for cosmetics. You can customize your character to fucking crazy. So that's a possibility as well. But they really... Nika, from playing Metal Gear Solid 5, how much of the resource management aspect of the game was present. They've really blown that aspect up, and you're collecting shit like spare tires for rubber, and
okay, that's like.
But I mean, when you're in an apocalyptic world where everyone's zombies, you kind of have to do shit.
Exactly. Yeah. It did take some cues from Fallout 4 for sure. The base building is sort of like constructing barriers to keep waves of zombies out, building traps, building...
Now, is the co-op, co-op, okay, so you're not fighting at all against other players. It's literally all cooperative stuff trying to survive, right?
Right.
Okay.
If they have a PvP version of the game, I've not seen it.
Well, in that case, then yeah, it very well could be paid to win, because that's essentially what Mass Effect 3 did. It was all co-op. You didn't go up against each other at all. So you had no problem with people buying better equipment, because in the end, it's just going
your team better too.
to help you.
Yeah. That could be. That very well could be.
Oh, you know what?
What?
Because the Mass Effect multiplayer was some of the most fun I've had in co-op stuff, so this could end up being a really fun game if Sony doesn't fuck it up.
Here's the fucked up thing.
You had fun playing it.
I had fun playing it.
Don't tell me that. I don't want this game.
I don't either. I'm not, and I don't plan on buying it. But you know what?
If somebody bought it for you,
I did not mind the beta.
Especially if there might be a possible decent canon tie-in, because when I heard, they get sucked to another dimension and they have to get back to Snake, I'm like, that's an easy cop-out to not have to deal with the canon at all. Is to just suck them to another dimension, and then when they get back, guess
Nika,
what? The story
fuck
resumes.
You.
So if this actually has some kind of decent canon, I'm gonna want to play it, and I don't want to.
I don't expect it to. Here's the thing, though, because me being me, of course, the thing that I do is I go over to Never Be Game Over to see what the latest theories are. Did you know that at one point in time, Kojima had mentioned making a zombie game out of the Metal Gear franchise?
I have heard that. He really likes zombies himself.
Stated that directly, and this was like around the time that Ground Zeroes was either coming out or being developed. So...
But I can't imagine it would be an alternate universe portal sucking game where you get sucked into a portal. I feel like it would be...
Well, but that's the way you do it if you want to be able to preserve your universe for maybe more future installments or something without...
Right.
It gives your developers a convenient blank slate. Which, I mean, that's really what they did, is that they took that blank slate and they ran with it.
How long is this beta supposed to be going on for?
It's a good question. I don't know.
I might go home and give it a try tonight.
Can give it a try between shows too.
Oh, that too. Cool. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, it's all right. I don't know, man. It was definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. I didn't hate it, which I expected to hate it. I expected to really fucking hate it. I want to hate it. And a lot of me wants to hate it.
I want to hate it too.
But... you know what? And it seemed like they took a lot of the gameplay aspects of Metal Gear and just made... Now you're under pressure, right? Like, most of the time Metal Gear's kind of slow and sneaky, but now you've got to like sprint around and go to different objectives in between waves of zombies, and when the waves of zombies, I mean, it's real waves of zombies, you can't sneak around them. You've got to fucking kill them. Ammo management is a big deal. So I mean, there's legitimately a lot of things that you're having to kind of it's a fucking micromanagitis game.
Imagine throwing other teammates in there to have to talk back and forth with them and come up with strategies and stuff. Oh, I'm getting flashbacks to really cool Mass Effect gameplay.
Building barriers,
building stuff together too.
Yeah.
Nika, lay down those barriers. Nate, suppressive fire. I'm gonna go hide in the back here.
I wanted to really not like it. I wanted to really not like it.
All right, so before we move on to our next one here, we actually have somebody on the line.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we have Volkai here who wants to talk to us about the Hearthstone World Championship.
What's going on, Volkai? Thanks for calling Final Encountercast.
Hey, how's it going? I just got done watching the championships and then came over to see what you guys are doing. It was a really exciting final.
Well, as you can hear, Nate is super excited to talk about card games.
Oh boy.
I'm sure he is.
There's no Christoph the Fat here today, so
yeah, you're. I don't know that you're going to be getting the most receptive audience, Volkai.
All right, let me ask you this: what? So the championship has been decided. So we basically have our
Wait
two
a minute.
finalists.
Is this why he skipped today's episode? Did he want to watch the Hearthstone finals?
No,
is that what it is?
I actually talked to him yesterday. He sounded like shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he really did.
Well, fuck him.
Yeah. But so we're down to our last two people. What decks are they running for the championship then?
So the last two champions were Frozen and Tom60229. Frozen brought Mage, Priest, Druid, and Warlock. Tom brought Druid, Rogue, Priest, and Warlock. Both of the Warlocks got banned.
Wait, you okay? See, now I'm automatically showing my ignorance here because I didn't know that in the championships they played with multiple decks.
Yes, so everyone brings 4 decks. And then you ban one of your opponent's decks. And then once you win with one of your decks, you cannot play with that deck again.
Oh, so it's kind of like elimination.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they call it a conquest format.
Oh, all right. That's actually kind of cool then. All right, so let me ask you this then. Who's your money on?
Well, I was betting on Surrender, who won the Winter Championship. Unfortunately, he washed out in the semifinals against... Tom60229.
Womp, womp, womp. So who do you think is going to take it then, Tom or Frozen?
Well, it actually has been decided, and Tom took it in a reverse sweep.
Oh, okay, so it's over. All right, I thought you were telling me that like the championship, like the two people going up have were the ones that were decided. All right, well, cool. Well, we'll probably be covering this a little bit on Checkpoint. I would assume, maybe.
It was a very intense game. Frozen won the first 2 matches with Mage and Priest, so he only had his Druid left. Tom lost with Druid and Rogue, and then he won against Frozen's Druid with Priest, and then Rogue. And then it all came down to the Druid Mirror match, and Tom drew his Ultimate Infestations first, and that pretty much decided it.
All right, well, card games, everybody.
Card games.
Card games and $1 million.
Wow, that is. I guess that's a thing that happened.
It's a lot of money for card games.
Yeah.
Well, something else that's interesting about this is going into this championship, the Asia Pacific region was pretty much dismissed as the 4th best region out of 4, and Tom is now the first Asia Pacific World Champion.
Oh, well, congratulations to Tom.
Well, good job, Tom. Hopefully you're able to get a lot of friends on MySpace. I don't know. Volkai, thanks for the call.
He's gone.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I already took him out.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Volkai, appreciate hearing from you, even if you weren't talking about anything that I cared about. Just saying.
Speaking of things I don't care about, I guess I have to rely on you. I figured that Nika would have tried it out, and we could have at least had more of a.
I've been busy, man.
I guess an even discussion here. But what'd you think of Dissidia?
The Dissidia beta, yeah.
I mean, I played it in Japan when I was there on the arcade.
Okay, yeah. See,
besides the Mecha Heelys,
I'm gonna guess that Nika probably played more of it than I did because
I played probably like 4 or 5 rounds.
Because I swear I got through the tutorial and I could not unload that game fast enough. I fucking hate Dissidia. I'm
See,
sorry.
I love Dissidia normally. Like,
But
I played the shit out of the ones on the PSP.
And listen, that's fine. I just feel like it's such a, I don't know, like the idea that it's like you've got one type of attack that takes down HP, but only for so long, but then you've got to lock it in with another type of it just seems like the most bizarre control scheme for a fighting game. And I feel like it's only done because so that Square Enix can animate things properly. Right? Like, I don't think Square Enix would know if you put them on like if you told them you've got to make a Marvel versus Capcom clone, except with Final Fantasy characters. By the way, I'd play the shit out of that, just so you know. Or like a Smash Brothers clone.
Oh yes,
right?
Please.
Like a Smash Brothers clone, except with
all Final Fantasy, or just Square Enix.
Square Enix characters. Can you imagine throwing fucking Chrono in there, or like? I mean, yeah, you'd have to. Square Enix, when you take a 16-bit character and you make a full 3D model out of them, you do not need to make them look as fuckable as possible. I'm just saying. Like,
I will beg to disagree, but
wait, hold on. What make them look as fuckable?
Yeah. They try to make them
my
as
characters to look sexy. Why would you not?
It's sort of like, you know how like you have a range of different looks between characters in Smash Brothers, and you can be like, oh, that character is from like the Wii generation of things.
Oh, right. Even though like, they're like, you know, fully fleshed out like 3D characters, there's still a certain aspect of them that stays true to their original art, if you will.
Zidane doesn't look like Zidane.
No, he doesn't.
You know what I mean?
I don't know if I would like that so much.
Nobody gives a shit what you like, Nika.
Well, let me have a different opinion on here, since none of you ever will. But I feel like in terms of what the types of graphics that Square Enix makes and the types of, like, I'm actually disappointed that a lot of the time Nintendo sticks to the cartoony stuff, because I, as somebody who's really into the aesthetically flowy, pretty graphics, I really like the realistic aspect of it. And I feel like if all of a sudden, like, there was, you know, Noctis who looks super realistic and then Zidane who looks super cartoony, it would really throw me off. I wouldn't like it.
Let's just make sure that every one of our characters has a six-pack and looks like a fucking androgynous man-child. Like, that's
a Japanese
They
thing.
all look the fucking same. Every character looks exactly the same. And I was like scrolling through the Dissidia characters, because I mean, at least in the PSP version, it was like they were samey, but like there was still kind of like an element of cartooniness. I don't know what it is, but like Shantoto looks fucking retarded. You know, like it's just like anything that doesn't look like it just came out of Gold's Gym and has only eaten a wafer cracker once this week. You know what I mean? Like, if it doesn't look like David Bowie at his most anorexic, then we don't want it in this game. And that's the part that makes me go, okay, this is silly, right? Like, it's either gigantic hulking armor from Full Metal Alchemist or you know, fucking Ziggy Stardust. There is no in between. And that's what
Final Fantasy games have always been, though.
I'm so tired of playing twinks when I play a fucking Final Fantasy game. It's annoying at this point.
Can we maybe agree that Nika, who thinks that FF15 is the culmination of the Final Fantasy series, maybe doesn't
I've never said that,
what
goddammit.
FF15 or what Final Fantasy is all about?
I'm just saying, like, listen,
never said any of those words that you just said.
Listen, Square Enix is so preoccupied with having a fuckable boyish child in their game that they inserted Vaughn into 12 because the cast of characters wasn't strong enough, right? Like, we need to take Michael Jackson's Wet Dream and we need to insert it into Final Fantasy 12. And the thing is that shitty character design is full on display in Dissidia, to the point where I like, Bart's doesn't look fucking. Bart's looks like a fucking drag queen, dude. Like, it's bad.
Let's be real.
It's bad. It's really fucking bad.
No,
and I mean, that's fine. If you want to play RuPaul's Drag Race fighting game, then go play RuPaul's Drag Race fighting game. But I would like Square Enix to pay a little bit more homage and meaningful homage to their earlier games by, I don't know, maybe respecting some of the character designs that existed in them.
Yeah, see, Nika, I do understand where you're coming from with your personal preference about wanting games to be more hyper-realistic, right? But I think that there is a place for Square Enix to do that, especially when you look at stuff like Nier Automata or even Final Fantasy 15. But in a game where you're taking characters from different iterations of your franchise, from different eras of your franchise, I think that in a case like that, when people go to play it, when people want to play as their favorite character from their favorite Final Fantasy, they shouldn't be looking at the character select screen and not really recognizing or thinking, what did you do to Terra?
Yeah.
Like, you should look at that character and be like, yep, that's my character. That was my Final Fantasy. That's my main, and this is my jam.
I don't know. I still get that feeling from Dissidia.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit for me.
Yeah, no, I played it once on the PSP, and as you were saying earlier about how overly complex the whole thing is, I could never get into it. So
I'm not a fan.
I played the shit out of all of the Dissidia games. I love them to death.
Well, you have low standards. So, Nate,
yeah.
I know that you played Monster Hunter.
I did.
Nika, you probably did.
I have zero interest in Monster Hunter at all. I didn't even know the beta was this weekend.
You can fuck off. So, what'd you think?
I liked it.
This is your first time playing it, right?
I've played other Monster Hunters, but I've never, first of all, I've never played a Monster Hunter where there was still an active online population, right? Like, when I played through parts of Monster Hunter 3, I think it was, it was on the Vita, and I don't think that the Vita can use any of the PSP, network connection stuff, so I've never played with anyone.
Okay.
That said, first of all, that game is fucking gorgeous. It handles a little clunky, especially in comparison to something like Dark Souls.
Okay, what weapon did you use?
Greatsword. Duh. Okay. Fuck off.
All right.
Why would you ask? Why would you ask that question? Fuck you. Jawbone Greatsword. Fuck you. Yeah, no. The thing is that especially in comparison to Dark Souls, because Dark Souls is so tight. Oh my God, is Dark Souls controls tight? I really sort of felt like it was because of the monster I was fighting, but it just felt slow in terms of like, oh, I need to dodge now. I felt like the frames that I had to dodge it
forgiving maybe
was way more forgiving.
Okay, all right, yeah,
way more forgiving.
That's probably fair.
Which made it just made it look like the character models were just like kind of like mushing up against each other. And I was like, that needs a little bit of work. But I do think that like in a multiplayer setting that could be really fun.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Monster Hunter, specifically because of the multiplayer aspect of it. Whenever I've played it by myself, I get burnt out on it extremely quickly. And I've said on, I think both this show and Checkpoint previous, that I'm really interested in getting more time with this, because this is one of the first times that I think that a handheld game is being, remade on to a console. And to me, that it's just going to be a really, really cool experience, because they've kept pretty much everything there. Like I haven't noticed anything that's gone missing, but I've already noticed a bunch of different changes. First of all, like you said, the world, absolutely gorgeous. Before you'd get to a map and it'd have maybe 5 or 6 areas, and they were pretty, tame in comparison to what this has, which, first of all, everything's seamlessly connected. You'd have to zone in and out of areas in the handhelds. And there's so many different levels to it. The very first one, the jungle, when I chased whatever it was up onto some tall canopy of leaves, fucking fell like 4 stories down and I ended up losing because I couldn't get back up to the fucking like monster quick enough.
Right.
The tracking gameplay or aspect of it is actually really cool too. And for the first time,
where you're just following the glow flies or whatever. I mean,
we'll see what they do more with it, but the idea of like tracking it down, because there have been times before in the handheld ones where they give you like a vague clue on where he is, and then it takes me half the time before I actually find it. Right.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I actually think that it's a welcome change.
I don't know. I felt like the hit detection was straight out of the PSP version, right? Like or straight out of the handheld version, because you do need to have some wiggle room, when you're playing on a screen that small.
Right.
But I feel like that was a lot of it, was that being kind of, taken onto the full screen, that they have a lot more ability to kind of play around with.
Okay, and I could see that actually if they, again, looking at the game, if they did just sort of upscale it or transfer over a lot of the infrastructure that they already had, I would absolutely think that would be one of the downsides of doing that. But hopefully that's something that they can tweak and mess with going forward as well. But overall, yeah, I'm really, really excited about it.
Is that a day one purchase for you?
Yeah, actually, girlfriend's going to get it for me for my birthday. Early birthday. But yeah, I already got a few other friends I have one who's pre-ordered it already. So I already got a Monster Hunter squad ready to go.
I mean, of the 3 that I played, I don't feel like any of them are day one for me.
Okay. Yeah, no, I could see that. Well, especially because Monster Hunter, even though it's a day one for me, that's only because I know I'm going to have people to play with. Otherwise... Right. If I had no one to play that with, I probably wouldn't get it at all, because it where it's fun, it definitely lies with the multiplayer aspect of it.
Yeah, Lalux in the chat says Monster Hunter controls feel clumsy. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it, yeah.
I'm debating on Dissidia for day one at this point, just simply because a lot of my friends are going to play it, but I have heard that they have cut out any of the fun, story mode elements of the previous Dissidias. So that's where I'm actually a little bit hesitant.
Really? I mean, there's, from the screen that I was in, it does say there's a story mode.
Yeah, Saren said that somebody compiled all of the story cutscenes, and it's 10 minutes. So
keep in mind,
in the previous games there was a full-on story, especially in Duodecim and the second Dissidia. The story was huge, and then there was a really cool exploration dungeon mode, which I don't think exists in this one either.
First of all, I feel like that story mode was so unnecessary.
Duodecim story was really good.
No, it wasn't.
The first one.
What are you talking about? What? Wait, what? What are you talking?
The whole story with the new 5 characters had to go in to help the other characters, and there was a big story about how they had to
It was terrible.
I don't know. For a fighting game, I think, because fighting game stories are usually dumb, I thought it was believable enough for a fighting game.
Oh my god! All I ever wanted to do was skip those cutscenes. They were fucking terrible. I hated them.
As a youngling, I used to always think, man, I wish that fighting games had better storylines. But now that I've grown up, I realize you
don't. You just want to fight. You just want to take your shit and smash them together like action figures.
Yeah, it's bad.
Tekken has a pretty decent story.
No, stop.
Yes, it does. Have you ever looked into it? It's good.
Stop.
It is.
No one's gonna believe you.
No one.
Anyone who plays Tekken knows.
Nobody.
Everyone.
So all 50 people.
There are tons of people that play Tekken.
It's not. I mean, it's not very thriving esports scene, so it can't be that many people. I mean, even
Senpai plays.
There's some pretty big Tekken tournaments.
Even Mortal Kombat still holds tournaments. I'm just saying. Sometimes they're on TV.
There's a strong presence at Evo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Nate, you played all 3 of them. Rate them for me.
Jesus.
Just put them in. If you were to buy them, put them in a buy order.
I'd say Dissidia is number 3 for sure. It's down there way at the bottom. Monster Hunter number 2, Survive number 1.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, no one saw that coming.
Yeah. I only say that because you're forcing me to say to come up with it. Would I spend money on any of them? No.
Nah. Okay, no. That's fair.
No. I mean, I'll probably still continue to fuck around with the Survive beta as long as it's up, because it's not, like I said, it's not the worst thing that I've ever messed around with. But yeah, I don't think I'd spend money on it.
All right, fair enough then.
Yeah.
We have about.
You want to read an email?
Do we have any good emails?
I mean, I feel like we haven't read an email on the show in a long fucking time.
Probably haven't, but our newest email is from October 20th.
Who gives a shit?
All right, here we go. This is from Sinanthony.
Okay.
Hi there, FEC hosts. Firstly, I want to say thanks to all of you for producing your show. To introduce myself, I'm pretty new to your podcast, but I've watched each and every FEC episode on YouTube because your shows consistently entertain me.
YouTube viewer.
Even when I disagree with your views on games.
Nice.
I'm about to start pursuit of a PhD in biochemistry, and when I get stuck doing monotonous laboratory tasks in the lab I work in, I like to listen to you guys make the hours pass. I especially enjoy Nosferatu's antics And as a sexually conflicted gamer who tires of the nerdy straight male demographic that is so pervasive in gaming culture, I also greatly appreciate the touch of diversity provided by Callie.
Not any longer. Although he's here in spirit.
He is. One big reason I keep listening is that pretty much every episode makes me crack up laughing at least once. I hope you all never cease making dick and fart jokes.
Good news for you. Doesn't seem to be
a problem
going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. So on to the crux of my email. I noticed Nate and some of the other hosts often bemoaning some of the shortcomings of modern gaming, such as microtransaction madness, superfluous DLC, and the fall of certain franchises.
I think that's superfluous.
Superfluous
for sure.
DLC and the fall of certain franchises from their former glory. However, it seems to me that despite these complaints, most of you keep yourselves well-versed in new games and consoles, as your discussions stay pretty current. I pose this question to all. Are there any older titles from generations of consoles now defunct that you haven't played but want to play, or did you already exhaust these platforms when they were first released? If not, then why not go back and seek out the superior games you missed out on instead of always forging ahead and buying into modern games that are often worse by comparison?
This is a great question.
Do you perchance find older games unplayable due to being dated?
Great question. Who is that from again?
This is from Sid Anthony. There's actually still 2 more big paragraphs. But maybe we would answer the question first.
We'll start with that, yeah.
All right.
So first thing is that I'm really glad that we're reading this because it praises the 2 people that aren't here.
Take that.
That's the best part of it. So thanks for listening. We appreciate it. And glad that you like the show. By the way, you should also, if you want to extend your listening and you want to get a little bit of Callie in your life, make sure to check out checkpointradio.com. When it comes to backlog, my backlog of games, I do actually try to work through them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have a Vita, right? Like, my biggest back catalog of games, we had talked about it earlier when I talked about my game collecting. My biggest glut of collection when I did the most game collecting ever was during the PS1, little bit into the PS2 era. And that's my biggest backlog. And so at some point I realized I was buying games that I wasn't playing and cut back my amount of buying. And so I had to, because I was smoking weed. I had to figure out how to continue to buy weed. But
priorities.
Yeah, right, exactly. But the thing is, though, is that, when you do a radio show or a podcast about video games, you kind of got to keep up on the latest shit.
Regardless of if you like them or in some cases, if you're even playing them.
Right, like unless you want to do a specifically retro gaming show, which none of us really wanted to pigeonhole ourselves with anything
Too
that
many
we're
of them
doing.
already.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we can do that as an occasional, special...
Right, exactly. I don't think that older games are unplayable. Quite the opposite. I actually, I played through the first disc of Xenogears and then stalled out not that long ago, which is not surprising considering the state of that second disc. But
I will say they're unplayable only if they're slow, responsive controls. I feel like graphics don't bother me, old battle systems don't bother me if I know I'm playing an old game, but if it comes down to I push a button or the battle system's really clunky, I won't be able to play it.
See, a lot of my back catalog is turn-based RPGs, so even if they don't work that well, I can still kind of forge through it.
See, I feel like his question or her question wasn't necessarily so much referring to backlogs, because the first thing that I thought of when they asked this was games that I never even bothered to try to get into. I have recently. Obviously, the Metal Gear Solid franchise is one of them.
Right.
I actually really wish that 5 hadn't been spoiled for me, because that moment that Nika bawled about on air
melted
for
down.
the entire show.
I don't know if I could ever replay the game.
Would have been so amazing to experience just firsthand in a pure format. But Metal Gear is one of those series for me. The Dragon Quest series, I feel like it's almost as synonymous as Final Fantasy is, and I've never touched any of them before.
Really?
Yeah,
I have quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few. Not
I've never
quite a
touched
few.
Dragon Quest either.
I have a few of them. Okay, so and the thing is again, I do have to cite my Vita because I go and I buy those titles all the time. Suikoden 1 and 2, never owned them. Don't have a physical copy of them. They're on my Vita. Do want to play them.
Good, play them both.
They're on my list. They may be the next thing that I play.
Ooh,
please do.
Yes.
Now that I feel like I've worked through my Pokemon bug, I definitely
and actually, Actually, Suikoden should still help you scratch that itch because instead of collecting Pokemon, you're collecting the Stars of Destiny.
There you go.
Yep.
But there are other older games like that I do want to check out, and I do like the fact that a lot of them are getting re-released, right? Like whether they're PS2 classic or PS3 games that I never got to play on the PS4. That's why I'm not like there are people who get really butthurt about re-releases. I'm not one of them. There are enough.
I'm more likely to check out old games if they get a re-release.
Totally.
Like Secret of Mana's coming out. I've never played the first. I played the Secret of Mana 2 that never came to America through an emulator, but like the original Secret of Mana, I never touched. And so I'm definitely going to play the remake.
The Super Nintendo? Is that the one that you're talking about, Nika?
Yeah, I think like the one that they're like remastering completely for like PS4.
I think that's the Super Nintendo game, right? I think it is.
I believe so. Yeah. Because the second one that I did play was also Super Nintendo, so I assume the first one was as well.
Because it's that's a great game right there. But I think that all of those things are valid. It's mostly time. I think it's just mostly time.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one.
Like I said, I've been working through this Pokemon thing, and I don't get to. I have like maybe 2 or 3 games that I can play in tandem with one another, right? Like I don't need to keep a whole lot of plot points in my head for Pokemon. That's fine. I can just keep forward momentum on that.
Last time on Pokemon,
right? Exactly. And then I'll have like a console game that I'm playing. I was playing through Hellblade for a minute, and then what else? What else have I been playing on my console? Every once in a while, I'll plug a couple of hours into FF15, but it's cold out in my living room, so I don't play it all a whole ton during the winter. And then there's usually something that I'm playing on my PC. Where PUBG doesn't really count because you don't have to. It's literally you sit down. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. But it's been, obviously FF14, and then what else have I been playing recently? There's something else that I've been kind of tooling around with that I can't think of off the top of my head. But like I've only got space in my head and time that I can allocate between 3, maybe 4 games at most. So that's, I think, really the biggest barrier for me for not playing more games. Yeah. If I could quit my day job. And just play video games, I'd fucking do that. I would do that in a heartbeat.
We're working on it.
Yep.
We're working on it. Nika, did you want to add anything? Any?
I've been like racking my brain trying to think of one, but I feel like all the games I was interested in, I kind of got as a kid, and then like growing up, I can't think of any that I like regret not playing. Like I've never been interested in Monster Hunter or Dragon Quest, any of those, and I don't really care to go back and play them either.
Fire Emblem games was another one that kind of piqued my interest a little bit.
I tried Fire Emblem, and I think the newer ones maybe would be easier for me, but older, I was like, oh, I can't stand that, a character dies and they're dead or it's game over.
There's also games where it's like, I've heard that this is good for years, and then I sit down and play it, and I'm like, I don't know the fuck y'all talking about. Like Final Fantasy Tactics was like that for me. Mm-hmm. And there is a bit of trepidation with every game that I buy where it's like, is this one going to suck? Because, even if I have it in my backlog, I don't know, So like Breath of Fire was one of those where I was like, yeah, this could be good. And I was like really excited to check it out. And then I was like, wow, this game is not good at all.
I think that I might have also tried that. It was kind of the same thing, actually. Yeah.
In the chat, Ryoku asking if I ever thought about Shin Megami Tensei. Nope, too weeb. Let's move on. You said there was...
yes, there was. So, Anthony goes on to say, my own perspective may be a bit unusual. As a child, I was a boring little shit and wasn't a serious gamer, only having a few essential Nintendo consoles and the most popular games for them. My parents didn't buy me very much, and I had no initiative for earning money to buy more video games as a teen. In fact, I initially missed out on all PlayStation things released prior to 2010 or so.
That sucks.
That sucks super.
Yeah, there's a lot of good shit in there.
The vast majority of my experience as a gamer had come as an adult. Once I started acquiring disposable income, I spent my entire adult life, so far, collecting and playing PS1, PS2, Nintendo DS, and PSP games I never got a chance to play as a kid. For example, I only played FF7, my favorite game, for the first time as a 23-year-old 4 years ago. I don't give a damn about the remake, by the way. Currently, I'm playing through Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3 for the first time. Anyways, I still have a huge list of old games, mostly JRPGs, I have acquired and want to play, and I prioritize them ahead of any new games because there are so many that have better reputations and just have higher quality gameplay than the newer things. I've had a ton of fun playing many PS1 games in particular for the first time, despite their age. Plus, they're mostly cheap to buy used now.
It's true.
The newest system I have is the PS3, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on much of anything on the PS4. Can any of you relate, or am I just a weirdo intent on digging up the past? Wishing you all the greatest in success and your broadcasting pursuits. Sid Anthony, a pretty new listener writing in from Alaska.
Ah, nice.
Wow.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. So here's what I would say to that. I actually used to be a lot more like that. You know, especially when I had a lot of, limited income issues and stuff like that. College, right? Like I bought an Xbox 360 maybe 3 or 4 years after. No, maybe 2 years after it was like the latest new system.
That's when I got mine too, I think, actually.
Yeah, I've actually been a little bit behind the curve before it was, a stated part of my job responsibilities. So, yeah, no, I'm definitely with you. I think that there's, tons of, and the fact that the PS3 is at least a little bit backwards compatible, where you can shove a PlayStation 1 disc in there and it'll still boot up. I think that kind of stuff, you've got a ton of options for gaming.
Was actually in a disc replay yesterday, and they had a copy of Suikoden 2 for $90.
Whoa!
Which I think is actually cheaper than eBay or Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Like, you can't find one for cheaper than $80.
That's crazy.
Anywhere.
That's crazy.
You can buy it on the PSN for like $8. So you should.
Yeah. There was also, they had a copy of Final Fantasy Anthology for like under $5, Tactics for under $10, and then Game of the Year versions of like 7, 8, and 9 for under $10.
Wow.
If I hadn't stolen my girlfriend's, who she actually got it as a birthday present this year, and then I stole it from her, then I probably would have bought the FF7 one. Thief 75, please check it.
All right. Well, thanks for the email. We
Yeah,
appreciate it.
That's actually a really good one. Glad
Yeah.
you suggested the email thing.
Yeah. This is, we could have sat here and talked about XQC, but...
And how he's a piece of shit.
But here's the thing. If you want to hear that conversation, you'll be able to hear that this week on Checkpoint Radio. If you want to catch the show live, you can. That's over at twitch.tv/Checkpoint Radio. Give us a follow. You'll be alerted when we go live. And then, of course, if you miss Wednesdays, you can always check us out on the air. If we air in your local town or, maybe not, you can check us out streaming. And then if you miss all of those, you can always check it out on Tuesdays when we upload them to our Mixcloud profile over at mixcloud.com/Checkpoint Radio, as well as our brand new redesigned website, checkpointradio.com. Please go check it out. Check out some of the interviews that we've been putting up. It's super exciting. So, but that's going to do it for Final Encountercast for today. I want to thank our callers. It's fun hearing from you guys. I really like it when people call.
Yeah.
Especially when we've only got 3 hosts on the show.
And to be fair, too, for all you people that are like, well, we don't know what to call about. We had someone call in about Hearthstone.
Anything gaming related. Doesn't matter.
We didn't talk anything about Hearthstone.
Yeah, and we didn't make too much fun of them.
No. Actually, you were very tame. I'm surprised.
I mean...
Because a gaming tournament
what am I going to do?
Relevant.
Yell at them?
I mean, I could, but what would be the point?
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah.
Volkai keeps calling.
Regardless, I guess that's fair.
I've yelled at him before.
All right, yeah. So, guys... Calling about anything.
That's right. Anyway, that's going to do it here for Final Encountercast. Thank you guys for joining us. It's always fun having you along. Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio starting at 1 p.m. I want to thank, of course, my co-hosts. Only 2 of them today, Nika and Robbie. And then we didn't really talk about it, but Chris is homesick with his new baby.
His whole family is sick.
His whole family is sick, and Callie just doesn't care about you guys anymore, so he doesn't show up here.
Oh,
he hates you.
Yeah, he hates me too. I'm so sad.
I'm kidding. You can find him on Wednesday over at twitch.tv/Checkpoint Radio. That's going to be it for Final Encountercast. My name's Nate. Have a good one. Final Encountercast is a production of FinalEncountercast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Nate Bender, Callie Sloan, and Kooky Persona. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. More info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.